Kiwi side for this one. The Tammany boys, big Howie and Kevin are not playing, and the little halfback that wreaked havoc last year we saw earlier on Wide World of Sports Sunday edition. Little Clayton friend is also missing. There's the coach, Graham Lowe, and there's the New Zealand team getting into their huddle. The fullback, a newcomer, Daryl Williams, and he's going to be under plenty of pressure, as Darryl Eastlake said. Joe Rapati, the big winger, he can play football. Dean Bell and James Luluai, well known to Sydney fans. The other winger is Dane O'Hara. Olsen Philippines, the 5'8", he was player of the series last year. The halfback is Shane Cooper, a newcomer. They've got a great back row, the Kiwis, as Darryl said again, the international numbering. The lock forward, Gary Prone, number 13. Gary, just waiting for the Kiwis to do their thing, say their prayers, make their vows. Pretty emotional mob, these Kiwis, and they put their hands around each other. And as we've seen here, particularly those who follow teams like North Sydney and Eastern Suburbs, when they pull on that Kiwi jersey, some of them sometimes just play a little differently. Response from their crowd. There's the Australian team, the fullback number 1, Gary Jack. The wingers, Shearer and Michael O'Connor, who'll be doing the goal kicking. Gene Miles and Brett Kenny, the centres. Wally's the captain and 5'8", with Peter Sterling, the half. Vice-captain Wayne Pearce. Steve Folkes and Crusher Cleal in the second row, and the front row, a couple of big fellas in Peter Tunks and Stevie Roach, with Roy Simmons doing the hooking. Well, by gee, you can see just how much water that ground has taken. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be 37 to Australia. 19 victories to New Zealand, rate of about 2-1. But in New Zealand, Australia has had it rather tougher. We've won 14 over there. New Zealand have won 10 test matches.
From Carlaw Park, bitterly cold afternoon here, and as we said in our preview, it's been raining very, very steadily right throughout the morning. We've just had the toss of the coin, and Wally Lewis has won the toss for Australia, has elected to run from right to left on your screens. The wind will neither assist or hinder either side. New Zealand will kick off, and they have already been to both sides of the field, acknowledging the presence of their fans, and we await, as we see Wally Lewis trying to get warm, we await the kickoff in this first of 3 tests. The second and third test, of course, will be played in Australia. The referee today is Robin Whitfield from England. There he is. He signals time on, and we're underway as Joe Rapati gets the test match started. Peter Sterling waits for it, and immediately running off Sterling is Shearer, put down right in the middle of that mud patch that you can see there, just outside his own quarter. Roy Simmons is the dummy half, and Peter Tunks has first touch of the ball and driven back a couple of metres. In fact, driven back a few metres, lost the ball too. Scramble for possession. Referee Whitfield runs in to adjudicate. Noel Cleals picked it up for Australia. Lucky break for the Aussies, a lost pass from Tunks early. Now here's Steve Roach out of one and runs straight into a crushing tackle from Olsen Philippines. And a penalty has been given to Australia. Plenty of talking out there to the referee and about the referee, I would think.
Well, this referee knows Australia's style of play and the Kiwi style of play. He had them in '83 here and in Australia. But this defence of New Zealand already in business, Ian.
It's a fine tackle from Filipina, but a terrible kick from Lewis to find touch, but he's done it. Now Simmons gets play underway with a pass from Sterling to Lewis and back to Tunks. But Tunks apprehended by Owen Wright, and Kurt Sorensen coming in over the top. Mark Graham was also in there to lend a hand. So Tunks plays it. We're situated 32 metres out from the Australian line. This is Roach trying to offload. No one there to take the pass, though. 35 metres out from the Australian line now as Roach plays the ball. Simmons is dummy half. Don't forget we have the international numbering. You'll see the hooker Simmons and, of course, the New Zealand hooker playing in jumper number 9. Now we see the fullback for New Zealand, Daryl Williams, a man with a high reputation, only a youngster, having his first touch of the ball. Now New Zealand in possession as Bell gets it away to Joe Rapati, a very strongly built winger for New Zealand. He's 32 metres out from the New Zealand line. Dummy half is Wallace. Back to McGann. Kicking straight downfield, waiting for it is Shearer, but it's gone behind him. Picked up now, and he must have touched him because those players are very quick to reach him, and the referee signal play on, so he did get a hand to that. Now he's 10 metres inside the Australian half. Wayne Pearce taking play up towards the halfway mark. Simmons getting it across to Roach. And Roach getting across the top was the hooker Wallace with a swinging arm, but referee Whitfield took no action. Now here's Sterling out to Miles onto Kenny. Kenny out of one, getting a pass away, but it's gone from O'Connor, who's put it down, picked up by Dean Bell. He's put it down, picked up by Sterling. Well, the ball being dropped 20 times here. Sterling will play it just 32 metres out from the Australian line, almost on the touchline. Miles running from dummy half. Now here's Roach. New Zealand defence equal to the occasion. 30 metres out from the New Zealand line. Sterling to Lewis. The kick from Lewis. Chases two. The New Zealand fullback can't take it properly, and he finally regathers it. That's Williams. Williams plays it just inside his own quarter. Out to Dane O'Hara. O'Hara caught right on his own quarter line. This is Kurt Sorensen. Bad pass from Sorensen. It's gone loose. Sterling very nearly got to it for Australia. Picked up, though, by Olsen Filipina and driven back a couple of more metres. He's only 12 metres out from his own line. Noel Cleal is in there to make the tackle. Now, dummy half is the Hooker Wallace now out to Rapati. And Rapati caught on his own quarter line. A wrestling match there as well. Dean Bell at dummy half got the pass away to the halfback Cooper. Finally, Cooper got it away to Kurt Sorensen. Back to McGahn. And McGahn's kick down there for Gary Jack. Jack not taking it cleanly. Finally picks it up and takes play up towards the halfway mark.
Well, Australia having a bit of a chance to attack early in this game, but this New Zealand defence is very good indeed. As Shearer brings it up again to the halfway line for Australia. A lot of intense motivation in this New Zealand side right throughout the week as Roach goes for another run. And there's some head-high stuff coming in from Kurt Sorensen, and the referee Whitfield has said any head-high tackles will be early showers. He is going to crack down on high tackles. So let's see if he keeps his word as Sterling gets it out to Lewis. Lewis gets it on to Gene Miles. He claps on a bit of pace. He's got Kenny with support, but couldn't unload. Some good defence there from Hugh McGahn and Joe Rapati. But there's been a knock-on, so we'll have a scrum. And that's about 32 metres out from the Kiwi line. Joe Rapati, pretty big this fella, let me tell you. Back weights, Australia 5.58 and New Zealand 5.45. So the Australian pack just a shade bigger. Comes out New Zealand's way. Cooper waiting for it to come back. Ball's just hanging there. He can't get it. Robin Whitfield pointing into the... Now he takes it, and Sterling takes him. New Zealand with a ball. Rapati dummy half. He goes from there. Lost about 2 stones since we've seen this fellow 12 months ago. And pretty keen to run with the ball too. Cooper. And it goes on to McGahn. McGahn tackled almost centre field, midway between the quarter and the half. Cooper again puts a nice short pass up for Mark Graham. He's brought down as he tried to wind up. And Simmons doing a lot of defensive work for Australia in close now. A bit of a switch going on with Kurt Sorensen coming up with the ball. 10 metres short of the halfway line. Kiwis into the ground. Prone back in the lock position. He stabs for the line, and O'Connor takes it well. Second bounce, O'Connor. He's wrapped up, but managed to run it back inside off that touchline. So good play from O'Connor. Nervous start for him. His first test today in the green and gold. Of course, he's already represented in rugby union, so a dual international. So great performance from O'Connor. Goes back to Simmons. He looks for a runner. He gets Pearce, and they get him pretty high and wrap him up, ball and all. Back to Simmons again. It goes out to Sterling. Sterling charged down by New Zealand, though. And Australia come up with it. Pretty lucky, too, Australia, then, with Stephen Folkes. He'll play it. Back to Simmons. On to Roach. Roach winding up. Having plenty of work already, Roach. He was pretty keen this morning over breakfast. He said, I want to have a big one. He's certainly doing that. As Simmons goes for a little strut from dummy half and makes 4 or 5. Valuable play from Simmons.
You've seen Simmons do that so often in the interstate matches, making valuable ground from dummy half.
Here's Miles. Now there's players outside. Gary Jack gets a good pass to O'Connor. O'Connor comes back inside, gets out through one, and here's Kenny. Kenny heading for the line, and Kenny will score for Australia. Oh, great try from Kenny. Put it down by O'Connor and Jacko. They set it up, and Kenny finished it off. A beauty. And the Kiwi crowd not happy. Oh, Kenny, red hot this afternoon in cold conditions.
Crowd booing, Darryl, because the referee may have impeded one of the New Zealand tacklers coming across in colour defence. You saw the referee hit the deck, and If we get a replay, you'll notice that one of the New Zealand covers was coming across.
Well, here it is now, the ball coming along the back line. Sterling got it out to Lewis. Now Lewis puts a nice ball up for Miles. Now here's the bust from Miles. Gets through the defence, puts a lovely ball up for Gary Jack. Quick hands on. Now we can't really see that on the replay as O'Connor has the ball. Now he steps back inside. Now there's the referee there, and there's Kenny. Well, I don't know about that, Ian. I think it was a fair try of my money. I was watching the ball. O'Connor now set. Difficult angle, very heavy football already. This crowd giving him plenty of razz too. There he is. The boundaries on this Carlaw Park ground. Pretty cold over here, hard to talk at the moment. We'll warm up as the players do. Get set. Ball in the air. No good. It'll go across the face of the goal. So score remains 4-0 Australia over. New Zealand will be back at Carlaw Park in a moment. New Zealand 4-0 at Carlaw Park. Back after the break, in possession Australia. As Sterling now gets it out to Lewis. Lewis on to Roach. Roach tried to slip the ball, but Gene Miles just too far away, so decided to take it. Very, very heavy conditions here, but not like the Carlaw Park we used to know. As Pearce gets a good ball out for Gene Miles again. Gene Miles handles it on to Kenny. Kenny almost out of the tackle, about 4 metres out from the line. Australia looking red hot at the moment and throwing everything to the Kiwis. Sterling, long, floating pass, no good though. Lewis has to go back with it. It's cleaned up by Shearer. He loses it. James Lulai has the ball for New Zealand. Well, a lucky escape for New Zealand then by Australia on the attack here, Marisa, looking good.
That was a scoring opportunity, but the pass from Sterling went astray. The ball is very, very slippery. The ground is, well, there's mud everywhere. And they're having a little trouble controlling the ball properly as Sorensen makes a run across field, links up with Dean Bell, and Bell got to the quarter line before he was put down by Miles. Now Rapati. Just outside the New Zealand quarter. Australia lead by 4 points to 0. Back for Owen Wright, who's kicking. Gary Jack waiting for it. Now he has it. Linking up with O'Connor, and O'Connor's having trouble holding that ball too. And in fact, Australia lost a few metres in that play. 10 metres inside their own half. It's out with Wayne Pearce. Thought he saw a gap. It closed pretty quickly though. Kurt Sorensen coming across over the top to take him. Simmons getting a blind side. And Australia in possession just inside their own half. Folks plays it to Lewis. Across to Kenny. Knocked on by Kenny. Picked up by New Zealand. Owen Wright was able to pick it up. Play on, said referee Robin Whitfield, and New Zealand in possession 10 metres inside Australia's half. Blindside now arrayed with the halfback and the hooker working together. That's a pretty hefty tackle coming in from the Australians.
One thing I've noticed, Robin Whitfield's keeping a very honest 5 for both sides, and this is allowing at least flowing football.
Now here's Gary Prome for New Zealand, 5 metres inside Australia's half. Wallace, the hooker, at dummy half, going to get across to Cooper. Running off Cooper was Mark Graham, a wide pass for Lualai, linking up with Dane O'Hara, but pushed into touch. The Australian defence there, pretty good.
That touch side there, of course, is very close to the fence. There's only a couple of feet in it there.
As the scrum goes down 15 metres inside Australia's half. The back weights for Australia 592 and slightly outweighed by New Zealand, just the 4 kilos the difference. Now Australia in possession, 32 metres out from their own line. Wayne Pearce takes the tackle of Cooper. Now Folkes, good gain of about 10 metres by Folkes. Australia lead by 4 points to 0. Simmons getting it across to Sterling, employing the kicking game with the kick down for O'Hara, who's back on his own quarter line when he takes it, being harassed by Tunks, beats Tunks, but can't beat the tackle of Sterling following his kick through. New Zealand 32 metres out from their own line now, and the ball is loose, picked up by Dean Bell for New Zealand. Blindside as Owen Wright charges into Miles. Wallace, the hooker, getting a pass away to Cooper and then to Prone, but Prone is met by Royce Simmons, and in fact the penalty's been given to New Zealand, and it's against, it may have been against Tunks coming in over the top. Simmons went in low and then Tunks came in over the top.
That's exactly the sort of play he said he would keep keeping his eyes on as Don Ferner looks on, and Don knew that too. He told the players no high stuff, not under this fellow's rule.
Robin Whitfield, the referee from England. Gary Prome, who can play pretty well anywhere in the back line, has got a nasty bruise on his face. Yes, Whitfield had the New Zealand-Australia test matches in '83 and is pretty well respected by both sides. Now here's New Zealand now with the free kick 10 metres inside Australia's half as Wallace, the hooker, preparing to take it, and watching the fullback Daryl Williams, who will probably work his way into the play here as Sorensen comes blindside, got a pass to Prome, but Prome caught by O'Connor and Cleal. Pictures today coming to you via Television New Zealand as Wallace into the play now, but met very quickly with a solid tackle from Folkes and Peter Tunks. Wallace dummy half to Cooper, and Owen Wright's put it down for New Zealand, trying to kick it ahead, but the referee has seen the ball play on. Well, I thought he knocked it on. Referee didn't think that. Here's Wright now making a good pass out to McGahn, but McGahn has put it down. And this time we'll play the knock on. Well, I thought he knocked it on before.
Yes, I did too, but he's trying to play the advantage there, but a bit dicey. But of course, this fellow's interpretations of the ruling we found quite strange. A fellow last time in '83 when we had him.
It's gone with the feed. Sterling to Lewis, and Jack coming into the back line is free. Jack can't step though. It's too greasy and slippery out there, and Prome's there to put him down. 32 metres out from his own line. For Australia lead by 4-0. Now it's with Lewis, and looking up with Pearce. Pearce made the half break before getting it away to Kenny. Now it's with Lewis again. Now Sterling. Now Miles. And Miles again charging into the defence and looking to offload, but there was no one following him into the tackle. He'll play it now. Simmons is dummy half, and he goes Roach. And he's able to slip the pass to Tunks. Tunks and Roach have been inseparable on this course so far. They room together, and they're pretty good mates.
Yes, they certainly have. They've called them the green machine over here as Lewis kicks for open spaces. He split both the fullback and the winger O'Hara. It's O'Hara that'll clean it up. Both the front rowers, Tunks and Roach, have been playing or training in green wet weather tracksuits, so they're now known as the green machine. Okay, New Zealand with the ball inside as Rapati winds up. Plenty strong, this fellow. She's big man. For Australian viewers, you remember John Sattler's legs. Well, Rapati's legs are just as big, if that's possible. Cooper now. Cooper gets it up to Filipina. He's bustled up with Lewis, ball and all, as he tried to slip it and couldn't put it down. We'll wait and see what the ruling is. It'll be a scrum. It'll knock on as they patted the ball down. Filipina was devastating here in the third game last year. New Zealand won that test, 18-0, and he was man of the match. Right, ball slips out to O'Connor. Off Pearce. He broke very early out of that scrum. O'Connor having his first test. We'll go on to Stephen Folkes. He's also having his first test today. Has played so well in the State of Origin series for New South Wales. Back to Simmons, the hooker. Long one out for Cleal. He's been quiet so far. Crusher now puts it, goes forward a couple of metres, and they belt him down centre field. Around about 30 metres out from the Kiwi line. Australia pretty deep as it goes out now to Sterling. On to Lewis. He's got runners. He's got to Kenny inside. But Kenny bottled up. They'll mark him pretty close as O'Hara and also the hooker Wallace was in there to take the tackle. Australia bustling their way inside the 22 now. And because of the weather, I really didn't think that many people would turn up here today. It's live on television in New Zealand as well. But there's a big crowd here in attendance, and pretty vocal too. Conditions absolutely appalling. Right, Australia now with a chance. Sterling, there's the bomb. Remember, we're back to the old rules, but it's far too big. It's into the stand. And the Kiwis love that one. The Australian reserves, Lamb and Niebling, and coach Don Furner. Pretty intense at the moment. Wet weather football at its best at Carlaw Park. Owen Williams takes it up. Graham Lowe, the New Zealand coach, has got huge raps on this fellow. So he had a big season in England, and he's a great ball distributor. Whether those skills will be allowed to be shown today under these conditions, as Mark Graham stands, the giant, belted down though. Towering man. Now, what can New Zealand do? They're running around in circles and doing not too much. This Australian defence is right onto them, and Cooper will play it back. Out it comes now for the kick. And it'll go straight to O'Connor again, and he's mishandled, but it's behind him, so it's okay. Puts on the pace past Bell. Well, he's just going across the field, and he's got them all up there, slipped down, and that's a great run from O'Connor. Well, he's wrong foot of the Kiwis that time.
It's a wonder he didn't fall over himself. It's so slippery in that centre field area.
Went sideways like a crab and then straightened it up as Lewis gets it out to Pearce. Oh, almost an intercept. It has, as Lualai goes away with it, but Robin Whitfield says, no, thank you, come back. And that's almost a Brett Kenny play that Lualai pulled off.
What awful moment. I thought the referee was going to let it continue.
I did too. There, Maurice watching what happens back. I'm watching the play of the ball. Here it is again as the pass comes out through Lewis onto Lualai there. Well, if he had taken it cleanly, it would have been shut the gate. He's got plenty of pace, Lualai. Scored 2 great tries here last year. Well, Ian, you can't expect too much fancy stuff, but they're really handling this muddy ground very well.
Yes, it's going to be a pretty tight struggle. We said in our preview piece that the weather and the slippery conditions is going to be a great evener. And Australia leading by 4 points to nothing, and plenty of mistakes being made in the handling department, but you've got to expect it in this weather. Now here's Simmons, who's playing his first test match, and he was a ball of nerves this morning, but he settled down very well as Tunks runs onto a Sterling pass. A good run from the big fella, and he's caught just 32 metres out from the New Zealand line. Here goes Roach. Roach up towards the quarter line before he's put down by Lualai and Hugh McGann. Sterling is a dummy half. Across it comes to Folkes and on to Lewis and then to Kenny, and around him was his centre partner Miles. Miles caught by 1 foot, got it back to Kenny. Kenny on the wraparound, got it away to Jack, who's standing in the back line, but he's put down. Play 32 metres out. Last tackle signalled by referee Robin Whitfield. Back with Sterling. The kick is back there for Williams, and Williams showing his pace, or trying to in these conditions. It's pretty difficult, but he's going very strongly, Williams. O'Connor comes in again and finally takes him, but that was a good run.
Well, that's exactly the sort of play that Lowe, the coach, there he is there, was saying this Williams he's a very, very fast man, and even on this paddock he's quick.
Now, play situated 32 metres out from the New Zealand line. Referee Whitfield moves in, and he's penalised the Australians for holding down in the tackle. Hugh McGann was the player with the ball and not allowed to get up and play. It was the ruling. Robin Whitfield from England as New Zealand try to find touch. Interesting thing about this New Zealand pack is that all 6 of them started out their football careers as lock forwards. Gary Prome on your screen now limping. He's the lock forward as in the chosen side, but they're all capable of playing that position. A move now as Sorensen slips it to Cooper and back to McGann, back to Cooper again. Now here's Owen Wright. They're going around in circles, New Zealand, not making a lot of progress, and a pretty hefty tackle from Crusher Cleo and Michael O'Connor stopped Owen Wright's progress. Now here's Prome at dummy half. Crusher is there to take him again, but he slipped away from him and comes to Folkes, who puts him down. And he's caught now just 8 metres from the halfway mark. Australia lead by 4 points to nothing. This first test match coming to you live on the Nine Network from Carlaw Park, Auckland, New Zealand. And New Zealand making pretty good progress too, as Mark Graham takes play up towards the halfway mark. Now, what can New Zealand do? Kurt Sorensen skirting out wide, even though he's playing prop, linking up with Rapati. And Rapati storming ahead. Finally put down, though, and a good tackle from Wayne Pearce. Now here's Wallace getting it back to Cooper. Cooper stands. Back to Wallace again, and maybe in a shepherd from Dean Bell. Referee saw it that way as well. Referee Whitfield right on the spot.
Whitfield in his short sleeves looks a little odd. He probably thinks it's a summer's day after where he's come from.
Now, a misunderstanding from that man there, Dean Bell, has resulted in this penalty to Australia. Lewis will kick for touch and has been able to find it just inside New Zealand territory. The Aussies lead 4 points to nothing. As Royce Simmons comes up to take the tap kick, gives it away to Sterling, then to Lewis, and running off him was Peter Tunks, right on the halfway mark in the sloppy conditions of Carlaw Park. Sterling a run around, giving it back to Cleo. Cleo thought he saw the opening there, but it closed too quickly for him. There's 5 metres inside New Zealand territory now. Simmons again dummy half, working to the right side of the field with Steve Roach running strongly. Good run from the big man. 15 metres inside New Zealand half now, and here's Peter Tunks, the 2 big props, very dominant in this match so far. Playing it forward was Tunks. Still able to offload to Simmons, now to Sterling and on to Lewis, and a Lewis pass almost found the target with Gary Jack, but he went without it, and New Zealand come up with it. Hugh McGann able to fall on it as Prome runs from dummy half, caught by Folkes, and around the ankles was Sterling. New Zealand coach Graham Lowe hasn't had much sleep during the week. He's a bundle of nerves as his side right on the halfway mark now. And Cooper giving it away to Owen Wright, but he's caught as Steve Roach came in to assist Wally Lewis with the tackle. The Aussies lead 4-0. Wallace to Cooper. And then to Olsen Filipina. That little kick through, he did that a lot last series, and he's able to kick it through. Still alive, that ball. And Filipina kicking ahead. Here's trouble for Australia as Lualai was chasing it. It's still there. Kicked ahead. Finally fallen on, though, by Dane O'Hara. And the referee says we'll start that tackle count again. New Zealand on the attack. Here it comes via Cooper to Filipina. Filipina 10 metres out. Now the Australian defence will have to work overtime as Mark Graham plays it, and the penalty's gone to the Kiwis. Interference in the play of the ball, I believe.
Yes, Australia tried to rake the ball away, and of course he's penalised him for that. And I think they'd rather give the 2 points of the try than Ian. The try was definitely on.
Well, again, we saw it was Olsen Filipina who started all that, and how our memories are sweet of his performance here last year when he kicked through so often and was able to regather. He certainly nearly regathered and put it through on the toe. With an ounce of luck, the Kiwis might have been in for their first 4.
Easy one for him.
It should be. It's just a fraction to the right of the upright, and that's the 10-metre mark you can see. And he'll only take a couple of steps back, and he'll launch into it. Australia lead 4-0 at the minute. And a step and a half is all Olsen Filipina will take. Looks at the posts again. Deep breath. Moves into the kick. And it's a gift. 2 points. New Zealand's on the ball. Australia 4. New Zealand 2 at Carlaw Park.
Carlaw Park in Auckland, New Zealand. The score 4-2 Australia's way. New Zealand just fumbling the ball. That'll force a scrum midway between the New Zealand 22 and the halfway line. And believe you me, the pictures you're getting home in Australia, the ground looks much brighter and much lighter than we're looking at here. Very, very dark and very, very cold and extremely wet. The rain has not stopped since daybreak this morning as the Kiwis come away with the ball again, and here's a bust now. This is that Cooper. He's got a good step, Cooper. He's a big halfback and made a good break then. But the Australian defence came in. Right, let's see now. Cooper with the ball again. They're using the back line pretty effectively as Bell gets one out. Gets it out to Prome. Prome tries to turn around in the tackle, but can't. Kenny all over him. As Wallace now gets it out through Bell, and they go back to Cooper and to Lualai. Lualai turns around and they turn it back inside to Filipina, and he's brought down in a mud heap. There's plenty there. That's the wettest part of the ground so far. Cooper looking for runners. He gets Sorensen. Sorensen comes back and pops one up for McGahn. McGahn stops. Waits, gets out of one. Still going McGahn. And they're almost to the 22, about 3 metres short. New Zealand now on the attack as big Mark Graham gets it out to Owen Wright. He gets it out to Prome. Prome brought down, though, with a good tackle from Kenny. Right round ankles. Good stuff here as Owen Wright just chips for the line there. Little stab kick, and that'll force the scrum about 5 metres short of the Australian 22. Owen Williams, the big front rower, who's the ball player, but here's O'Connor again, comes back in field. Very narrow boundaries here at Carlaw Park, only a couple of metres between the sideline or the touchline and the fence as Pearce picks it up and he belts his way another 2 metres. Royce Simmons, and how proud is he to be wearing that green and gold jumper today, and specifically would we say hello to Penrith back in Sydney. He's the proudest man in Auckland today. Okay, New Zealand with the ball. This is Williams. Got a good step, this Williams, but this time they nullify it. It's the man I was talking about coming through with Pearce to do the tackling. Here's Rapati, head down. Burrows his way into Crusher Cleal. He wraps him up, though. They make another little bust, and this is Wallace. The hooker, another of the new caps. And incidentally, in this test side for New Zealand, they have players that are massed, and here's a break. Will come back as Bell streams downfield, puts the toe to it, the chase is on. But Australia will have it covered through Shearer, falls down on it, ball is loose and rolls into touch. Well, conditions here slippery, and another close one for Australia.
The ball has gone into touch off Dale Shearer for Australia, so that New Zealand will get the feed, and they should win this scrum, and they're only 11 metres out.
Certainly are. Saying experience in this New Zealand side, they have players that have amassed 188 tests. Australia only 58, so a lot of experience. And listen to the roar. Kiwi, they're saying. Scrum pack now. It'll come back to New Zealand. It does too, and they run from the base of the scrum, but too much defence. They're pretty bunched too. I thought they might have got a little deeper, but away they go through Olsen Filipina, and he's only about 8 metres short now. New Zealand with a chance. They look to the blind side. Yes, they run that way. It's Mark Graham. Mark Graham stands in, gets a great pass off the ground too as he was going down. Oh, gee, that was a good ball, and it went so close. They're only 1.5 metres short now as it comes out through Cooper. They get it on to Filipina. He puts a little stab there, and Tunks will clean it up for Australia. Well, I don't know if that was the way to go. I thought he should have passed it. Graham Lowe looking on, and Tunks is hurt. Sabit's not too bad. He's had some problems with legs, Tunks, in the last few weeks, Ian.
Yes, he has. That kick from Filipina might have been all right had it been a little deeper. I'm sure that he didn't mean it to be as short as it was, and as a result of that, of course, he surrendered possession. But the Australians were all up in a straight line. If the kick had gone past the line, he may well have been able to get the try with the chasers that were after that ball. And there's Tunks in a lot of pain. He's had knee and hamstring troubles most of this season, as Darryl said, and it's the leg area on which Larry Britton, the trainer's working.
Yes, well, we were a little surprised. Here's a replay of this now. There's that lovely pass off the ground to Prome, who went so close to scoring. Now the ball comes back. Well, that's the replay we're getting from the New Zealand television, and very difficult. We appreciate the pictures they're giving us, but they're not quite the same pictures that we're used to at home. Tunks is up now. Tunks is up. Let's hope he's okay. All right, Gene Miles runs from dummy half, and oh, there's a nice swinging arm in there from the hooker, Wallace. Well, Ian, they'll want to keep their hands down.
And they'll want to make sure that the Australians tackle the key players, and they're not making those tackles at the minute, and that's why New Zealand has been able to attack so strongly. But now Australia has the football. Royce Simmons in the mud heap on the 22-metre line, getting the pass now back to Lewis. Back for Joe Rapati. Very sure hands, Joe Rapati. That ball is very slippery. And look at Rapati bumping off the Aussies. That's a good run from the Kiwi winger. He's a strong fellow, that Rapati. Wallace getting it across to Cooper. Inside is Kurt Sorensen past Lewis. Turning it back for McGahn, trying to straighten the attack, but the defence is there. Tunks in there to make the tackle. Blindside is the halfback Cooper. Now Owen Wright running off him back to Olsen Filipina. Still going Filipina. No support there with him though. And then the ball has gone loose and picked up. Who has it? Disputed possession. The Australians have it. Peter Tunks able to dive on that ball. But again, Filipina showing that he is a danger man if he's given half a metre to move. Now Simmons getting the pass back to Pearce. Now here's Sterling. 4 points to 2. Australia lead as the kick is down for the New Zealand fullback Darryl Williams. O'Hara links up with him. O'Hara, the most experienced man as far as test matches are concerned on the field. In fact, 3 tests Dane O'Hara's played. Phenomenal amount. Australia have it as New Zealand couldn't control it. Tunks taking play inside New Zealand's half. Sterling is the dummy half. Long ball for Lewis. Then to Gene Miles, stepping off the right foot, looking for support again as he goes down, but not able to slip the pass. Lewis moves into dummy half. Blindside goes Steve Roach. Good tackle from Mark Graham around the ankles to pull the big man down. Now it's with Sterling. Across to Crusher Cleal. But the defence again is good and vigorous. McGahn coming over the top to put Crusher down. Here's Lewis. The kick from Lewis, a grubber kick, and Lewis may well have regathered. He has, in fact. The tackle count restarts as it came off the Kiwi players. Now Miles. And another 10 metres. A good 10-metre gain, that one. Play situated 35 metres out from the Australian line as Simmons got it across to Pearce. And the ball is loose as Pearce tried to flick it back. Roach is able to dive on it, though. They lost about 15 metres as Simmons made up 5 by running on his own. Steve Roach, coming half. And Tunks has gone without it. Loose, picked up by New Zealand. Hugh McGahn able to dive on it. The Kiwi crowd roar as their boys dive on it. Now blindside comes Prome, but he's put it down and they'll play the knock on. Well, there is obviously a huge amount of Kiwi support here, but there are some Australians in the crowd, Darryl. I did notice a team of Victorians here Yes, rugby league is alive in Victoria. The Sunshine St Kilda Rugby League Club have a contingent here.
Yeah, good to see, isn't it? All the way from Victoria. Well, they'd be happy in this weather. Icicles coming out of the sky. Very dark. But Australia come up with a scrum. Well, that's Robin Whitfield went down, but play still goes on as Miles gets it out to Gary Jack. Gary Jack makes a split. He's got Kenny onside. Inside, Kenny takes the ball. Oh, and he's just brought down. Still scrambling for the line. Well, we'll wait and see what happens. Robin Whitfield says no, sir. Well, Kenny just crawled. He scrambled and rolled. He did everything he could to try and score that try. He scored it. He's awarded it. Well, he walked away. Robin Whitfield just walked straight back, but he's awarded the try. The Kiwi crowd not happy. Well, Kenny did everything to score that try. Here's a replay. Here's Gary Jack as he makes the bust. Now here's Kenny looming up on the inside. He gets the call. Jack holds the pass up perfectly. Wrong foot's Daryl Williams. Now here's Kenny down. He gets up, falls again, scrambling for the line. Now there's Robin Whitfield. And he just ran back to the 22, so it was a little hard.
Well, if he didn't award the try, that'd have been a protest from the Australians because it was a fair try, but certainly Whitfield ran straight away. Now watch it again with us as Kenny slipped out of that tackle. He's down, not held, up, down, and not held, and he certainly was not held as he grounded the ball. That's a fair try.
Well, Robin Whitfield getting a bit from this crowd because we're normally used to a referee who stands there and awards the try, but he must have said something to Kenny and it's bolted back to the 22.
Yeah, we're used to seeing the Australian referees stand on the spot where the try has been scored. But Whitfield just ran away as if he was going to put down a scrum 10 metres out.
That's exactly right. That's the way I read it too. OK, here's O'Connor now. Another difficult angle. Round the corner kick, has a good look at the post. And there it goes. And this time he gets the points too. So Australia now will go on to 10 points over New Zealand 2. Well, the Kiwis will have to come back quickly in these conditions. That's a big lead. And here's this movement again from another angle for you as Gary Jack. Now, he makes the break here. Here's Kenny coming from the other side. Now, he completely wrong-footed Daryl Williams coming across in cover. Had no option just to sort of stand there and watch Kenny as he crawled, got up, fell over, got up, and went for the line.
Yeah, Jack was the big playmaker in that play, wasn't he? He was the one who started it.
Certainly was, as Peter Sterling now goes down in the soft and mushy mud of Carlisle Park at Auckland. Crusher Cleo winds up now and belts his way 4 or 5 metres, and this defence all over the top of him having a lot of trouble. In fact, they don't get him now. Now they do. Trying to kick out of the tackle, comes back to Simmons. The Australians very keen to pass and run in these conditions. They're playing with a lot of confidence at the moment. Coming back to the kick now to Lewis. He clears it in the air. It'll come back to Rapati. Rapati stops it or traps it soccer style as he brings it back to the defence there to meet him. They know that this fellow can really motor once he gets going. Dean Bella dummy half. Goes on to Cooper, onto McGahn. McGahn stands and they back slam him down too. Plenty of defence here for the Australians. No love lost between these two sides. Remember that 18-0 drumming, and what about that for a head-on tackle? Oh, Stephen Folkes just lined him up and just took him down. Robin Whitfield's come in. He's having a chance to him. Well, we'll wait for a replay of that. Gee whiz, it looked like a fair head-on tackle to me, and Stephen Folkes, one of the best tacklers in the game, Ian, and one of the cleanest tacklers.
Yeah, I thought it was a fair hit, but obviously referee Whitfield wasn't of that opinion.
He's had a bit to say, and given a penalty to New Zealand. Yes, he's saying it's high. Well, you know, he was going to rule on high tackles, but I think he might have made a little error in that one. Okay. Ball back for Australia now. Shearer hasn't had too many chances, and they wrap him up, one over the top and one underneath. It's Cooper and McGahn. Roy Simmons, dummy half. They try to get the ball out of his hands. They successfully knock it down. That's about all. It's come loose again, and there's a little bit on here. Folkes is down on the ground, and there's a bit on. The Australians came straight in to protect him. He came right in to protect him then. As I said, Australians out for revenge after that 18-0 drubbing here in the last test, the final of the series last year.
Well, he's called time off, and he's called the two captains, Mark Graham and Wally Lewis, in to issue a warning. Perhaps Mr. Whitfield senses that the game is starting to slip out of his control a little, because there's been a few little needling things going on in there. Australia leading 10 points to 2. That's the Aussie contingent you can see there.
Well, a penalty out of that scrum has gone to New Zealand, and I sort of get the feeling that was a square up, that penalty. He's had a fair bit to say to the Australians. They've got to get that out of their minds. Just play football. They're leading this game at the moment 10 points to 2, and that's a commanding lead in conditions like this. But New Zealand now with a chance.
And this is the danger time now for the Aussies.
Played the ball with a wraparound through Sorensen, but they're going everywhere. Here's big Mark Graham as he winds up, and they're deep inside the 22, about 14 metres out from the line now. Out it comes. They're deep. Here's Sorensen trying to link up. He does with McGahn, but a beautiful tackle from Peter Sterling brought him down. Watch for a right. He gets it out to Mark Graham, but he can't handle it. The wet conditions, he's put it down. Folks over him like the proverbial wet blanket. Again, they're looking for runners, but New Zealand standing there at the moment. No one too keen to run. Filipina gets it out to Bell. Bell going at crab-like. He gets it back to Ropati. Ropati winds up. Still going Ropati. Belts his way out. Why don't they bring him down? But they're still 14 metres out. And they've lost the ball. Australia will come up with a ball. Who's on the bottom? Miles. He's played well, Miles. He's won every loose ball. He's like a dog with a bone. He's straight in on them. Well, that was a crucial time for Australia, and they weathered the storm pretty well. Running out of time in this first half. Around about 30 seconds to go on our clock, but there has been a few stops for injury. As Tunks brings it up and takes it out of the 22. So Australia back out of the danger zone now. And there's the half-time hooter. Remind you of the score, Australia leading.
Thank you, Darren. There's the kickoff now for the second half, with Australia leading by 10 points to 2. And Gary Crome picking it up for New Zealand. Let's have a look at the top workers in the first half, the top tacklers for both sides. Australia led by Folkes with 16, Pearce 11 and Tunks 9. Wallace and McGahn share the tackling honours for the Kiwis, with Graham 4 tackles behind them. As far as mistakes are concerned, Australia has made 16 missed tackles compared to New Zealand's 12. Australia's dropped 5 balls, New Zealand 9, and thrown 3 bad passes compared to New Zealand's 2. Australia working play up inside New Zealand's half. As we look at the ground made in attack in the first half, Australia averaged a gain of 50 metres per 6 tackles compared to New Zealand's 44, and Australian held the ball for 14 minutes 20 seconds compared to New Zealand's 13:35 in that first half of football. Now they play centre field with Royce Simmons, a dummy half, directing play and taking it up into the mud heap, which is about 30 metres out from the New Zealand line. And here's Sterling. Kiwis playing in a fresh set of jerseys for the second half. Down with Dane O'Hara now, picking up that kick and desperately trying to get out of the in-goal area, because we're playing under the old rule, which is still the current international rule. If you're caught in possession in your own in-goal, you must restart with a goal line dropout. Oh, this heavy tackling now from the Australians. Tunks and Quill. That's some good work. Kurt Sorensen, about 8 metres out from his own line. The rain hasn't stopped for the second half. The wind has sprung up a little. It's behind Australia, if anything, in the second half. It's certainly no warmer, I can assure you. New Zealand have it now. It's back with McGahn, charged down though, and picked up by the New Zealand second rower and captain Mark Graham. McGahn getting a pass away to Filipina. Still going is Olsen Filipina. He's 11 metres out from his own line. Across to Cooper. Kurt Sorensen juggling it. Finally put down. Good defence from the Australians early in the second half. Now McGahn looking to offload. Does so. Got it away to Cooper. Back to Mark Graham. Running strongly to the 32-metre line before he's put down. Now it's with Sorensen. Linking up with Bell. Can't go with the ball. Bell, he's put it down though. Picked up by Wayne Pearce for Australia. Wayne's starting to fall heavier now. It's Australia in possession. Stephen Folkes. He's about 30 metres out from the New Zealand line. Australian player down injured. There's a Roach offloads to Sterling, and now to Kenny, to Lewis. At least it's everybody's looking for it. Everybody's fearing they're offside. Finally picked up by Gene Miles. Now it's with Gary Jack. player down in back play for Australia.
Yes, there is. There's been some rough stuff, and it's Roy Simmons again. He's pretty groggy too. I mean, this happened in the State of Origin game, and he came back, but he is having trouble finding his feet at the moment. He doesn't know where he is.
Stirling and Folks, 5 metres short of the quarter line. Simmons still groggy. But able to get a pass away to Cleal, and Cleal's gone without it. Well, Simmons is not well.
Mate, Simmons is in Disneyland. He really doesn't know where he is. He just staggered around and threw that ball then, and he didn't know who was there.
Playing from memory, I think, Roy Simmons at the minute. New Zealand in possession. 32 metres out from their own line. Cooper getting it across to Crome. But the Australian defence swarms on him. Wallace at dummy half to Filipina. And a link up with a runner in Dean Bell. The defence met Bell very solidly. Now it's back with Owen Wright. A little kick through. Chasing it is Rapati. Rapati's there too. Kicked it straight into the waiting arms of Gary Jack. Well, he went down like a second slipman then. And pulled it in nicely. O'Connor has it for Australia, just inside Australia's half. 10 points to 2. Australia lead New Zealand. This first test match coming to you live from Carlaw Park in Auckland, New Zealand. Simmons seems to have gathered his senses now. Pass away to Roach. But Roach has again put it down. Picked up by New Zealand. Here's Wallace, the hooker. And he's put it behind him. Picked up, though, by Owen Wright. Right on the halfway mark. You can see there Graham Lowe watches anxiously as his side tries to come from behind. Now they're 5 metres inside Australia's half. Well, Darryl, it's colder and the rain is heavier.
Yes, I think one of the bright moves, though, has been putting this side into fresh jumpers. I mean, this wind is coming really off the ice pack. It's so cold, and the Australians must be feeling it with those heavy wet jumpers on. The referee there has said play on. Australia has the football, and of course New Zealand coming out in fresh jumpers has got to make them feel a little bit more comfortable in these conditions. And they're trailing. It's a big lead in wet weather, 10-2. Australia with the ball, and they've looked a lot more confident. Roy Simmons at dummy half, but he's shown some character in the last State of Origin game, and then of course to be knocked here, he really didn't know where he was 4 or 5 minutes ago. But he seems to work himself out of that, and he comes back dummy half. Right, he gets it on to Lewis. Lewis tries to step inside. He gets it back to Pearce. But Pearce is belted down. They wait for him off the fringe of the ruck and take him down. Simmons out to Stirling. Stirling puts it in the air. And it goes back for Rapati. Now, this fellow's really wound up in the first half the times that he's had the ball. But this time they mark him pretty well. O'Connor tackling. Also with the help of Gene Miles. Miles has had a huge game so far. He's been in everything. Williams is pretty involved as a fullback. He's also played wing and centre. He prefers to play fullback. And it's a shame we didn't see him on a dry track, because they tell me he's so fast. We saw a glimpse of it in the first half. Now as it goes along the back line, McGahn trying to unload it. He gets it to Dean Bell. Bell loses the ball, though. Picked up pretty quickly by Australia, then wrestled down centre field about 32 metres out from the New Zealand line. To Simmons. Simmons looked to pass and decided not to. Roach giving plenty of instructions there. He wants the ball, Roach, but it goes the other way to Tunks, the partner. And Tunks is out of 1, out of 2. Tried to unload and couldn't. He's just short of the 22 line.
The plays aren't being called as quickly as we've seen in interstate matches.
Here's Gene Miles. He's been their bogey man, and he gets around to Stirling, who backed him up from behind. New Zealand were paranoid about the combination of Stirling and Kenny. But Kenny have already scored the 2 tries so far. And Royce ducks under 1 as he gets it out to Stirling. Now, they've got a chance here, but they come back inside through Wayne Pearce. He's flung down, and that brings the crowd alive. Bit of a wrestling match goes on. Sorensen and Pearce, they know each other pretty well from the Sydney competition days. Penalty has gone to New Zealand. Kurt Sorensen was shaking his head. He applauds that decision too. The Australian bench not as impressed. Umbrella City here today. Auckland, fantastic weather right through the week. It's been absolutely beautiful, and the heavens opened up early this morning in the dark hours, and by gee, it hasn't let up the rain. Darryl Williams now from centre field. Oh, a bad kick. I mean, he's found the line, but he's made about a metre, that's all. All right, let's see if the Kiwis can come back now. They need to get some points on the board very, very quickly. The runners are coming through in right. They're pretty deep this time. Now, Sorensen winds up. They meet him. He drops the ball, Sorensen too. And these conditions getting worse. The ground really getting chopped up. And that muddy section, as we talked about 30 metres out, is starting to get wider and wider. Wind has changed direction too. The rain is now blowing into the broadcast area, where before it was behind us. So it's a swirling wind here at Carlaw Park. Probably helping the Australian side, if anything. Scrum spins around. Robin Whitfield having a good look. Sterling went in and ferreted for it. It's still not out, though. Sterling's pushing and shoving. Oh, and Frome throwing a couple there. But Sterling will come up with the ball and does so. Now Simmons gets it out to Lewis. Onto Kenny with a beautiful round-the-corner pass to Miles. By geez, got beautiful hands, Kenny, no matter what the conditions. The Shearer goes for a gallop. He only makes 2 or 3 metres, though, and he's brought down. Simmons directing play. He looks for Tunks, though. He goes for himself and made very, very valuable 4 or 5 metres, and they've taken play right onto the 22. Right, Australia now with a chance. Looking for Roach, but they go the other side to Pearce. Pearce has got Miles off him, but they're waiting for Miles, and they take him down, ball and all. They'll come back to Pearce at dummy half. Pearce runs from there. He thought he saw a gap, but nothing doing there. Last tackle. Watch for the kick. In these conditions, it'll be a raffle. There it is from Lewis. Puts it up. Not a bad kick either. Up they go for it. Loose ball. And New Zealand through Sorensen. No, but the ball loose again. And Gary Jack has come up with it, is it? Gary Jack, yes. William Maurice, another good tactic, because they've still got a chance to attack now.
The tackle count restarted, of course, as Roach takes play up to the 10-metre mark, and this is a perfect position for Australia now. 10 metres out. They've only used up 1 tackle. Peter Sterling calling for it from Simmons. Sterling has it now. Running off him was Lewis. Lewis steps. The pass back inside, but it's gone astray. Picked up by Tunks. And Tunks making good ground. Takes play up only about 8 metres out from the Kiwi line. Now, there's a play on as Simmons gets it away to Sterling. The kick through, that was the play. There's Shearer chasing it, and Shearer almost getting a hand to it. In fact, that is a try. That is a try.
Well, Huey McGahn is blowing up, and I tell you what, this referee has got to stand there and award a try. He just says, right, that's it, and runs back to the 22 again.
Well, he's run back all right, and he's awarded the try. Well, Shearer was racing for the ball. I must say that I didn't think that he was getting there first, but the referee saw it another way. Let's have another look. I'm not sure that we'll be able to tell you any more clearly after this, but there was the grubber kick from Sterling. It's over there somewhere, boys. And there's O'Hara. Yes, well, Shearer did get underneath O'Hara's foot. In fact, may well have got a hand to it. And referee Whitfield had no hesitation.
Well, he might have had the hesitation awarding it, but he's got to stand on the mark and let it go. There it is. It slips out. Now, he says there he's awarded the try, but you don't really know that until you get used to this guy's signals, because he runs straight back to the 22, and here's the kick.
And it's about 13 metres in from touch. O'Connor in his first test match. Australia already lead 14-2. Kicks it beautifully, sweetly, right over the black dot. It's Australia now 16, New Zealand 2 here at Carlaw Park. To Australia leads as Simmons playing strongly. Simmons taking play up to the halfway mark. Oh, a good run from the hooker from Penrith. He's made about 35 metres in that good run from the dummy half position. Shearer now moved into that spot, got it away to Sterling, and Sterling kicking downfield, and it's being chased by Joe Rapati, but Australia 16-2 thanks to that controversial try by Dale Shearer, playing in his first test match for his country. Now New Zealand have to really get points on the board quickly. Darryl, I detect some niggling things going on in these tackles now.
I think this test is about to blow up. There's a lot of tackles coming in from the Kiwis, and one on Lewis just before we came back from that break, and it's smouldering at the moment.
Well, Shane Cooper, the halfback, has dived on yet another loose ball. He's only 5 metres out from his own line. Sorensen getting it away to Mark Graham. One-handed pass back for Olsen Filipina. Across field goes Ollie, and he's finally caught by Crusher Cleal. 12 metres out from the New Zealand line. Now going right. Almost to the quarter line. Cooper switching play with a cut pass Back for McGowan, and the kick from McGowan is down, bouncing almost out on the full, but beautifully. One bounce and in the touch. Well, I thought it was going out on the full, and I think Shearer thought so too, but it dropped very quickly and found touch just inside Australia's 2. Australia lead, and this test match a long way to go.
Certainly is. It's a big lead in wet weather, but the Kiwis need to put some points on the board very, very quickly. They seem a little disjointed. They started this game with some fine defence, bustling defence, but they seem to have hung off the players and they're letting them run a little bit, and they're going to get back into the game. That's what I mean. They've got to take the Australians down. As Gary Jack brings it back, he gets it on to Simmons, and Simmons has had a huge game for his first test. Very groggy, maybe 20 minutes ago, but he seems to fight his way out of these things, and he's shown a lot of character. Now they've worked play around about 14 metres into the New Zealand half now, Australia. A lot of control with the ball. Tunks ducking and weaving under the high tackles, trying to unload, but thought better of it. Australia going to come out on the open side, although Sterling's now gone to the blind side. We'll see what happens. We've got two great distributors in Sterling and Lewis now, one each side of the ruck, and they've lost the ball straight away. Well, that's not good play, but understandable in these conditions. Ball like a piece of soap out there. Right, New Zealand now. What can they do with it? Sorensen goes for a dance. Bustling run, goes for the touchline, but too much defence.
And Peter Tunks is hobbling on that knee again, I'm afraid to tell you folks, and they're calling for a replacement. Tunks will be off in a minute.
Yes, certainly he's off, and that he's shown a lot of courage to stay there, actually, as the ball is knocked down by Lewis. Picked up by McGahn in the mud heap. It's towed through by Australia, and the penalty has gone to New Zealand. Robin Whitfield had no hesitation in awarding a penalty.
Well, Tunks has asked the Australian coach just to give him a few more minutes, hoping to get some feeling back.
Well, there's a tackle. He's just pulled off. The player ran straight into him, but I don't think he'll... although he's trying to... New Zealand now. Prone trying to probe a little bit, but can't. This defence of Australia, they're tackling in gangs, and they're going ball and all. They're not making any mistakes, letting these Kiwis unload. Centre field now, another penalty to New Zealand this time. A little short arm went in, and he's having a little bit to say. Again to Stephen Folkes, is it? Well, I don't think I've seen Folkes caution more than twice in his whole career.
Niebling has come on for Australia. Brian Niebling has come on, and Peter Tunks has left the field.
Bad luck for Tunks. He's had a strong game. Queenslander coming on, Brian Niebling. He'll be fresh and a big asset to Australia now. He's a rugged defender. Okay, now New Zealand have taken play down to the 22. Can they get some points on the board as it goes through Cooper? It goes on to Wright. He's just inside of Australia's territory now. He's tackled by Niebling and also Roy Simmons. Comes back through Cooper. He's looking for runners. That's Mark Graham now. He's made a couple of metres inside, and there's Tunks. Great shot of him holding that wretched knee that's given him so much trouble this year, and he's shown so much courage playing with it. Right, New Zealand deep in the 22, and they're nice and deep, but they're going to use the ball. Cooper with a nice pass. It goes out to Lualai, who's been very, very quiet this match. It comes back to Dean Bell. He dances around. He can't go anywhere. Now it's on to Prome. Prome makes a couple of metres. Gets a nice ball off of Bell. Bell's got a chance. He's got some outside support, and Bell has scored for the Kiwis. Oh, listen to them go up Bell. Kiwi. They're in for their first try. The man who plays for Eastern Suburbs in Sydney, Bell, has gone over for the Kiwis. The break made from Gary Prome. Well, that's the one they needed. Graham Lowe shows no emotion through a game of football at all. Well, here's the replay now. Now, James Lualai stood in that tackle. He got it back to Bell, so I think it twice in this movement, which is a great bit of play. It then went on to Prome. Now, Prome stood up the Australian defence. He was wrapped up there by Niebling, but he managed to get the ball to Bell, and he had plenty of support. Roy Simmons couldn't catch him. Gary Jack went after him, and O'Connor got him, but it was too late.
Out of the play when he was bigger than it earlier, but there he is there. Now watch how quickly he gets up. He's tackled with it here, got it away, but very quickly got it from that tackle to back up. Good work.
Not sure why that replay stopped. Still, there it is. Olsen Filipina now, 16-6. Very vital kick. every point needed in conditions like this. He doesn't go back more than 2 paces. He's got it in the air. He's got the 2.
New Zealand 8, but the Kiwis will have been given a lot of heart from that excellent try from Dean Bell. They're situated in their own quarter at the minute as the fullback Williams sends a long towering punt to Gary Jack, who's been very, very safe today, Jack. And but they're well caught by Owen Wright. Just 12 metres inside Australia's half as O'Connor moves in to assist, takes the tackle while Australia reorganise themselves. Now here's Simmons again. But they're a little disorganised, the Australians, at the moment. Now the left side goes Sterling, and the cutout pass for Gene Miles. Miles to the halfway mark, links up with O'Connor. And O'Connor will play it just inside the New Zealand half. Here's Sterling. Pearce juggling it, losing it. Picked up by Cooper for New Zealand. Prone goes to dummy half. And here's Olsen. Olsen Filipina turning it back inside for the fullback Williams, who went without it. Sterling was able to pick it up. And now Folkes runs from dummy half and made about 5 metres before he's pulled down. He's about 5 metres inside the New Zealand half now. And Steve Roach running onto the Roy Simmons pass. Made another 5-metre gain. Australia working themselves up into a very good attacking position, but that ball is like a bit of safe. It really is. Niebling running into the Kiwi defence, but Owen Wright and Mark Graham there to hold him. Simmons again, dummy half, switches play, this time with a pass to Cleal. And Cleal right in centre field, about 35 metres out now. Here's Sterling and Pearce again. Oh, and a crunching tackle on Sterling from Hugh McGahn. It was around the chest, it was fair, but it was hard. And now here's Sterling again kicking for touch. And the ball skidding across the turf. Williams has it. He'll need to get out of there pretty quickly and bundled into touch. Well, he didn't have anywhere to go. Kenny was very quick down there on him. And Williams into touch just about 5 or 6 metres from his own line. So a vital scrum as Don Furner with the injured Peter Tunks alongside him. The replacement for Australia is Terry Lamb. Outside him warming up at this stage. Work by Sterling. It'll be an Australian ball. Sterling may have been beaten to the ball at the scrum base, was he? No, he got it. Gary Prone disputing possession, but Sterling was there, and the penalty's gone. Well, the referee must have awarded that ball to New Zealand, and Sterling just wouldn't give it up. So the penalty as a result of that has gone to New Zealand. There's no doubt that Roy Simmons won the scrum because the ball came out the tunnel cleanly. But Sterling was just beaten to it. Prome able to dive on it very quickly.
That's 7 straight penalties New Zealand have got now off Robin Whitfield.
Well, that's the sort of momentum they'll need. Because they're trailing by the 8 points at this stage. 16-8 Australia lead as Sorensen takes it. And a one-handed pass to Filipina, onto Lualai, onto O'Hara. O'Hara caught by Shearer right on the halfway mark. They crash to the deck. Now here's Cooper, running off him as McGahn. And he's just inside the Australian territory now. Cooper again. Wallace. Slips the pass for Bell. Back to Olsen. Filipina. Filipina saw a gap and stands and able to load to Wallace. Running across field. Can't link up with Rapati though. That's what he was trying to do. And finally put down, but he's about 15 metres inside the Australian half. Here's Cooper. Across to Graham, juggles at Graham, slips the pass beautifully to McGahn. McGahn can't offload though. Last tackle signal for New Zealand as Cooper goes to dummy half, putting the ball in the air. Plenty of chasers. Up they go for it, and Gary Jack does it magnificently. Beautiful take from Gary Jack. That ball's very slippery. That's hard enough as it is, but that New Zealand defence following through. He did very, very well. As Roy Simmons now made another 5 metres, played it to Jack, and Jack, creeping across field, was able to pick up another 3-metre gain. 32 metres out from the Australian line. 16 points to 8 Australia lead, and we have about 15 minutes of play down.
Gary Jack magnificent under these conditions. Gee, fancy taking the ball like that. This defence coming through as Lewis belts it down the field deep into the 22. Picked up by Darryl Williams. Brings it back, good step. They wrap him up, but he still manages to stand. Now they take him down. He's only a few metres short of the 22, so that's a good run from the fullback. James Luai been very, very quiet this match. Hasn't had many opportunities at all as he takes play just outside the 22. Wallace at dummy half gets it on to Cooper, then on to Kurt Sorensen. He brings it in hard. Scoreline at the moment, 16 points to 8. Australia leading New Zealand. New Zealand with the ball with Wright. Turning, swiveling, unloads it, but they lose ground. They've been better to die with the ball that time. The Australian defence really on with a big drive. They come through, but New Zealand now starting to use the ball a little bit better than they have been. They're trying to get their men lined out as it goes back. The kick onto Williams. He belts it down. Be taken by Shearer. The Kiwis ring him. He decides to run it, and only goes a metre and brought down. Right. Australia still coming back on side now. Shearer using as much time. He got hurt then. Using a bit of time now to get it to Kenny. Run around movement with Lewis. Kenny slips. The conditions here unbelievable, and I mentioned before, the pictures you're getting home are far brighter and lighter than what we're actually seeing here live at Carlaw Park. It's very dark, very wet, and very cold.
Dale Shearer calling for attention from the trainer Larry Britton. He's hurt that groin.
Yes, his hip has been a problem too, as Australia now take it through Pearce, then on to Miles. Miles has been strong. He's looked for work right throughout the day at dummy half, coming in also to defend. To Sterling now. Sterling stabs for the line and finds it too. Now it's waved back on the full. O'Hara got his hand to that. And they're arguing too.
Well, if O'Hara got his hand to it, there should be a scrum from where it went out. Now, that's a strange ruling.
Well, he definitely got his hand to it.
Well, if that's the case, there should be a scrum another 20 or 30 metres downfield.
He certainly touched O'Hara and let it go. So Robin Whitfield's decisions here this afternoon, some of them very questionable. Right, Olsen, Filipina. The fullback, Williams, is up in the play at the moment as we come through. And centre play, centre field, Cooper coming back with Prome. Cooper again on the right. That's a looping pass, but Lewis dives on it for Australia. And there was a little knock forward there too, and Robin Whitfield didn't miss that one, so the scrum will pack just near the 22.
Terry Lamb has come to the sideline, and you'll find that Shearer will be replaced any moment as Lamb is running on now.
Shearer's been playing with a damaged hip and a torn groin since last Tuesday night's Origin. That's been in the wars, but he's played well and scored a try in his first test match. He'll be pretty happy with that. He's Prome. Puts it back for Cooper on to Filipina.
Well, the referee's going to have to watch his touch judges, because the touch judge ran on with Lamb halfway across the field and the scrum continued, so Lamb's not on yet.
Yes, he's not having the best of matches. Williams again playing the ball there. He's coming in from everywhere, this Williams. He's really trying to get this side to spark. Now they've got a bit of a movement going on. Mark Graham with a loose pass this time. Again, it's picked up by Dane O'Hara, and he's belted down by Noel Cleal, and they're back where they started from about 5 tackles ago, and a penalty again to New Zealand. Well, they're getting plenty of possession, the Kiwis. They can't complain. He's saying that Crusher had a go at him when he went up to play the ball. That's their 8th straight penalty, as we have the touch judge now coming in with Terry Lamb. Robin Whitfield has still ignored him. Now the other touchline is giving some, well, it's all happening here. There's referees and touch judges running everywhere. Terry Lamb's on, that's the main thing. We're back to the football. As Wright takes it up. Niebling takes him. Pearce underneath. Dean Bell, the try scorer, goes from dummy half, and he's almost to the halfway line, but driven back, so he loses a couple of metres as they drive him back with the ball. Cooper. Oh, they've put it down again. This time it's Mark Graham. It just came off his chest. There was nothing wrong with the pass.
I think the big difference, Darryl, today is that Australia has been able to control the ball just that little bit better in these awful conditions. New Zealand seem to be squandering possession at an early stage, and they just can't handle it as well as the Australians.
I think they're panicking their passes a little bit too. They're trying to throw dry weather passes. The Australians are playing excellent wet weather football.
Sure, they're making mistakes too, the Aussies, but they've been able to control it that much better, and that's why they're leading at this stage by 16 points to 8. And this man, Royce Simmons, in his first test match, making another gain of about 12 metres, and gee, he does that a lot. Now, here's Terry Lamb on to replace Dale Shearer. He takes play up to the quarter line. There's about 10 minutes of play remaining in this first test match. 8 points to difference. 16-8 Australia leads as Sterling puts the bomb in the air. Rapati's there for it, so is Williams. There's a misunderstanding, but it's been picked up by Cooper, who was standing in an offside position, and referee Whitfield, no hesitation in awarding the penalty to Australia, because you see that Rapati and the fullback Williams went up for it. One of them touched it, and Cooper was standing in front of them and calmly picked the ball up. Of course, he's offside.
That's Australia's first penalty since the 23rd minute, and replacements are now being...
Looks at the post, steadies himself again, and there is the kick, and it's flagged away. So the score will remain at 16 points to 8. Australia leading New Zealand in this first test match, and there's about 8.5 minutes of play remaining in the match.
Wallace has definitely left the field.
Okay, we'll find out who's going to play hooker. There's Wallace. As Peter Sterling picks it up on the halfway mark for Australia. Takes the tackle of Cooper and McGahn. Pearce at dummy half to Folkes. Now Simmons moves into the dummy half spot. And a pass to Roach. He's put it down and got a smack in the face for his trouble, Roach. Regan came up and just said, "Thank you very much, you're mine." And the penalty has been given. Steve Roach wants to argue about it. Wants to have a little chat with Mr. O'Regan, I think. Penalty's gone to New Zealand. Now work that one out. He's calling Lewis over. And he's calling Roach back. Well, I don't know about you, Darryl, but I saw it as O'Regan going in and just smacking Roach in the mouth.
Well, I was just a burst into the commentary because O'Regan really came in and belted him over the top, and all the Australians didn't respond. And maybe Roachy was a little silly to go on with it, but by gee, the penalty shouldn't have gone that way.
Well, it's been given against Roach for back-chatting. I think he had fair reason to back-chat. However, New Zealand get the penalty, and it's found touch just about 8 metres inside the Australian half.
Penalties 11 for New Zealand's way.
Now here's Owen Wright taking play up into the Australian forwards, and they eagerly greet him, but he's knocked it on in the process. As the scrum will form, 12 metres inside the Australian half. Work by Sterling. Gone with the feed. And Sterling is caught by O'Regan. Pearce a dummy half to Folkes. Minutes ticking by with Australia leading by 16 points to 8. Simmons dives on the loose ball. For Australia, he's still 12 metres inside his own half. Cleal a dummy half. Runs from that position. A gain of 5 metres before he's caught and held. He's only about 5 metres short of the halfway mark. Now Simmons again at dummy half. It's got across to Lewis. And Lewis's kick is down there for O'Hara. Over his head and bouncing end on end and in the touch. Well, how often do we see that at Lang Park? Now we're seeing it at Carlaw Park with the Lewis finding touch only about 12 metres out from the New Zealand line. 16 points to 8. Australia lead with about 5.5 minutes of play remaining.
Scrum the pack now inside the 22. New Zealand to feed through Cooper. Scrum twisting around, comes out Australia's chance, but no, he's awarded again. New Zealand the ball with Australia kicking at the ball. New Zealand to clear. 16-8. Dow struggle this one. Fallen away a little bit in the second half because of the conditions, but both sides, believe you me, are really trying hard. And there's Sorensen showing you just what I mean as he charges into the defence of Australia. Frome at dummy half. Goes out through Cooper. It's on to O'Regan. And this fellow's meant business from the moment he came on the field. Back for the kick to Cooper. No, he decides not to kick and takes the ball up another couple of metres. They're right in the mud heap. They need to get out of there onto some solid ground if there's any to be found. Mark Graham wants to do that. Oh, I put a long pass up for the winger, but I mean, pretty hard ball to take that one. And he's had a good game too, Dane O'Hara. 30 tests we've mentioned that he's played. He's the most capped player on the field. And I mentioned once before that the New Zealanders have had 188 test experience between them. Australia 58. Right, now the ball loose. They kicked on the first tackle. And here's a break coming up now with The other replacement, Mark Ilya, big striding fellow. O'Regan, the second replacement with the ball. So both replacements getting involved in this section of play now. Goes back to Cooper. Well, I thought Rapati had left the field, but he's back. Maybe he just went and got some attention. He's back at the moment, Rapati. We'll sort that out as we go along. The muddy players at the moment trying to pick them up, and it's extremely dark here at Carlaw Park. The minutes tick away. Australia with a commanding lead. With the Kiwis fighting back. They're looking for territory now. Here's Cooper, busy halfback. Little short ball up for Prone. Comes back to Cooper. The runners come through in Sorensen. He handballs one over. It's taken by O'Connor for Australia. So the movement once again breaks down for New Zealand. They just can't control this ball in the wet as well as Australia has today. Australia in possession, almost centre field in the mud heap, about midway between the half and the quarter. New Zealand's into the ground. The Sterling ducks back inside, giving the Australians a bit of latitude to line out now. Cleal almost with a buster. He's got Gary Jack side him and a good ball. Jack off the ground. He's got Pearce, and Pearce is in and that'll cinch it up. Oh, a great try. That was Folkes. That was Folkes, and won't he be a happy boy? Scored a try in his first test match. Oh, he just broke from broken play and galloped over. Great play from Stephen Folkes. Have a look at it now. Now, here's Cleal. He was the man that made the first initial break. He slipped that beautiful pass to Gary Jack. And right looming beside him was Stephen Folkes. Referee Whitfield is right on the line, chased by the Kiwis, but over beside the post. There's the real murk that you can see now as Gary Jack makes the break. And Stephen Folkes, his first test for Australia, crashes over for 4 points. Gary Jack has had a magnificent game today. By G, he's beat everything. And the crowd's starting to leave here now. 20 points to 8 with a kick to come. Minutes ticking away, and this has been a brilliant win by Australia. A brilliant win. If anything, we thought the conditions might suit the Kiwis, but they've certainly played better wet weather football. So Connor from right in front stabs it over. And the flags are up. And the scoreboard will tick over to 22 points to 8. As Australia now certainly will take the first rubber in this test series of 3. The other 2, of course, we played one at the Sydney Cricket Ground, one in Lang Park in Brisbane. 29 tackles Stephen Folkes has made in this match, plus scoring a try. Wonderful debut for him for Australia. Ball was chipped off with Rapati now. Tried to put the short trap, and they've come up with a 2, so they haven't given up yet as they bring it across now to Prone. Prone's to go and he makes a little break. He lobs one over the top to Filipina. Chance here as McGowan turns it back inside. Rapati winds up and the Australian defence beats him. They're only a few metres out now. McGowan goes through O'Regan onto Filipina. Belts his way to 10 metres out. Big chance for New Zealand then for the Australian defence. Right to the task here today. Cooper gets it on to O'Regan now. He's centre field, and the Kiwis line very deep on the blind side. We'll see what happens, which way they go. They come that way through Mark Graham. There's a long floating pass out for Rapati. Not a good ball. He had to lean forward to take it. And there's the full-time herder as Cooper puts it up in the air. Kiwis pouring through, but it's loose. We'll see what happens here. It's loose. Ball being jungled away, and Robin Whitfield says that's it. We'll call it a day. And Australia have convincingly won the first test here at Carlaw Park, 22 points to 8. In a very, very torrid encounter in conditions that are absolutely unbelievable. And the Australians going off the field there, muddied, bloodied in battle, but by gee, what a great performance they've put in. Let's have a look at the final score again. Australia 22, New Zealand 8, Carlaw Park in a quagmire. The next 2 tests to be played in Australia. After the break, it's back to Mike Gibson in the studio.
State matches making valuable ground from Dummingham.
Here's Miles now. There's players outside. Gary Jack gets a good pass to O'Connor. O'Connor comes back inside, gets out through one, and here's Kenny. Kenny heading for the line, and Kenny will score for Australia. Oh, great try from Kenny. Put it down by O'Connor and Jack, though. They set it up, and Kenny finished it off.
5 minutes before the half-time break. Let's have a look at that one.
Let Australia come up with a scrum. Well, that's Robin Whitfield went down, but play still goes on. Miles gets it out to Gary Jack. Gary Jack makes a split. He's got Kenny onside. Inside, Kenny takes the ball. Oh, and he just brought down. Still scrambling for the line. Well, we'll wait and see what happens.
What happened was a try, and this fella, Gary Jack, was in everything this afternoon. As I said, he was in 3 of the 4 tries from my memory. He certainly was in this one. Making the break, spinning the ball back inside to Brett Kenny, who went over like a surfboard rider. He would have done Tommy Carroll proud. That one, over he went in the mud and the slush of Carlaw Park in Auckland. There's Gary Jack slicing the opposition. Nice pass back inside to Kenny, who appeared to be covered. They just couldn't quite get him. Got him, but he slipped and slid his way over, as I said. And that was Australia's second try.
Almost getting a hand to it. In fact, that is a try. That is a try.
Might have been a lucky one. Peter Sterling having a quieter game for him. Slipped a neat little grubber kick through. Perfect tactics under the conditions. And Dale Shearer, there was a rush of him there too from right away at that stage, and the Kiwis really needed to do something.
Deep in the 22, and they're nice and deep, but they're going to use the ball. Cooper with a nice pass. It goes out to Lualai, who's been very, very quiet this match. It comes back to Dean Bell. He dances around. He can't go anywhere. Now it's on to Prome. Prome makes a couple of moves. Gets a nice ball off of Bell. Bell's got a chance. He's got some outside support. And Bell has scored for the Kiwis. Oh, and listen to them go up, Bell.
But Gary Jack does magnificently.
Yeah, as you say, Max, he takes a fair bit of courage when they're coming down at you. The ball's wet. The crowd are roaring. And here he comes, the blondie-headed Balmain fullback. A beautiful take, Gary Jack. And he just had a glorious game. And it was Gary Jack who was again in Australia's last try. It was the try that really wrapped it up, scored by Stephen Folkes. Let's have a look at that one.
Cleal almost with a bust. He's got Gary Jack inside him and a good ball. Jack off the ground. He's got Pearce, and Pearce is in, and that'll cinch it up. Oh, a great try. That was Folkes. That was Folkes, and won't he be a happy boy?
So he should be, Stephen Folkes, having his first test match, topped the tackle count, had a great game. And when you come to making your Man of the Match awards, it's not much between these two. Gary Jack slipping the ball away to him, and Stephen Folkes. They're certainly my pick. I thought Stevie Roach also had a great game. But Gary Jack, he really was in just about every bit of action this afternoon. Here he comes, slips around, gives the ball to Stephen Folkes.
Amongst a host of great Australian players, the Winfield Man of the Match is Gary Jack, Australia's fullback. Congratulations, Gary. To make the presentation, the president of the Australian Rugby League, Ken Arthurson.
Thank you. Well, Gary, on behalf of the Winfield Company, it's my very great pleasure to present you with the Winfield Man of the Match award. And in view of the fact that there were so many wonderful players for Australia, it's a tremendous effort on your part. And I believe that bomb you took under great pressure late in the second half was not only one of the best, but one of the most courageous takes I've ever seen in the history of the game of rugby league. On behalf of Winfield, congratulations on a job well done.
Thanks very much, Ken. Thank you.
Gary, I echo Ken's comments, of course. It was a fabulous performance.
Yeah, it was a great effort by all our fellas, all 15 really. We got a bit of hiding here last year, and we played here and we beat 18-0, and we had a bit to prove today. And it's a full credit to all side, because when you consider 80% of them, it's their third game in a week. It's just a terrific effort for all the fellas, a lot of harmony in the side, and you know, I'm very pleased to have won this prestigious award from Winfield.
On such a heavy track, you fellas must have been very leg-weary towards the end.
Yeah, it was. You know, Kiwis, they're a very hard side to beat, especially here in the mud, which sort of probably suits them a bit more than what it does us. And yeah, it was tough going in the end, but it was well worth it.
$1,000 from Winfield. That's the first Man of the Match you've won on television.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, that must be getting mixed up with somebody else. Yeah, thanks very much. I'd just like to thank my wife, Donna, back in Australia, and my family for their support. Thanks a lot.
Good on you. Well played. Our Winfield Man of the Match, Australia's fullback, Gary Jack. Mike?
Thanks, Ian. And you reckon those fellas aren't tough, Maxie? Gary Jack now flies home with the Balmain boys tomorrow night to play against St George at the Sydney Cricket Ground. That'll be their 4th game in 8 days. 1 state of origin, 1 test match.